into midnight.
You know, it is funny though.
When Santa's coming soon, you can't.
I am actually an ordained minister.
Okay.
100%.
Well, okay. What are you going to do with that?
No, I've married a few people.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How did those marriages last?
I don't get into that.
You don't.
60%.
I just stay with the fact that
You have a
I
right
get to do it.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I started my own church and everything.
Church of what?
The Black Church of Skating.
The Black Church of Skating.
Yeah.
Why Black Church?
I don't know. Just something sounded good.
Would you go to this church, Katie? Would you go to the Black Church of Skating?
Skating.
Oh, skating.
It's like a play on words, Peter.
Try anything, I guess. I mean,
Why not?
yeah. All right. The Black Church of Skating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about
Beer
it.
and ramps. Or metal music.
All right, folks. Miracle on Elm Street is now underway. So get out there, get given. We appreciate it. Tony Petrello says he'll be the first to join the Black Church of Skate. How do you say it?
Black Church of Skating.
Skate, not skating.
Skating. Yeah.
All right.
You get to get baptized in your favorite adult beverage.
I am so sick of turkey. I've literally had turkey for the past, 4 days. No turkey for me today.
I've been looking at pancake menus for a while now, so that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for a Monday. Steve Light, thank you.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Yeah, good to be back. We'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on Wednesday. And, of course, Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
And Kyle Clayton, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Again, Miracle on Elm Street. You can go onto our Facebook page, jump on the QR code, take you right to the place where you can donate. Or if you're out there today shopping, get yourself a little toy to drop off. You can drop them off here right at the station. So, again, Miracle on Elm Street is underway. Keep it right here. You got Matt Connerton Unleashed coming up at 4 p.m. Keep it right here. Have a great day.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Clemento's Pizzeria. Family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria. The best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA.
Time will show and then we'll know, unraveling another mystery. First to sober, last to know if I'll ever glimpse the stars again. So say you still, what you will, yet only whisper how you feel. Strike the match inside.
everybody. Welcome. Here we go. It's that time again. Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Monday, November 28, 2022. So nice to have you all with me. By the way, the opening track, that was Infinity Vein. That's the name of the band, and the song is called The Unknown. And members of the band Infinity Vein are going to be joining me via Skype tomorrow in the second hour. So really looking forward to speaking with them. I love that track, and I look forward to hearing what else they come up with. But our friend Billy Painter, a mutual friend of ours who hosts a show online called Outlaw Radio, he connected us, and so I appreciate that very much. Billy sends me a lot of really good musical guests, and so I look forward to talking with the good folks from Infinity Vein tomorrow on the program. Again, they'll be joining us in the second hour of Matt Connerton Unleashed tomorrow. Also, next week, 1 week from today, Molly Diago is going to be here with us in studio, and I believe she's going to bring a band member or two and do an acoustic performance for us live in studio. They're currently out on tour, so she's coming in Monday or Tuesday if Monday is a snow day. She wanted to, she knows the business. She knows what she's doing. So she asked if we could schedule another day too, in case there's a inclement weather, which is very, very smart. So I appreciate that, and looking forward to that. Also, one other thing, while we're talking about musicians, and I meant to mention this before, didn't quite get to it last week. We ran out of time. But our friend G Girl, who's been on the show many times over the years, and I've known G Girl. Also, she's on Facebook as Jackie Brown, but she goes professionally by the name G Girl in the mostly in the Boston hip hop scene and beyond. She also has a great podcast that she does online called The Icy Show, and she does a lot of interviews. But she is in this. She's on the cover of this new online publication called Face of Icon magazine. She's on there as Jackie Brown. Face of Icon magazine. You can find that online. And I wanted to publicly thank her because in the article, there's an interview part and there's a kind of a biography of her. But she gave me and gave WMNH a shout out, which I really appreciated. What'd she say here? I've been in a couple of different magazines. I've been on different radio stations, in-state and out-of-state and international. Shout out to Matt at WMNH 95.3 for always believing and supporting me. So I thought that was really nice that she did that, and I appreciate that. G-Girl, if you're listening, congratulations for being on the cover of Face of Icon magazine, and of course we'll get you back in here soon. So look forward to that. Always nice to speak with her, and she brings some interesting people too with her sometimes. So, but yeah, I've known G Girl for I think it's probably been around 15 years. Although nowadays I've noticed that if I find it hard to put an approximate number on how long I've known somebody, I just go with 15 years. If I know it's been more than a decade, but less than 20, I may have known them for 12 years. I may have known them for 17 years. I just call it 15. If it's more than 10, less than 20, I just call it 15. Peter White of The Morning Show with Peter White. I just call it 15 years I've known him. Jenny, I've known her for 15 years. We haven't been together for 15 years. But I think when I first met her, it was probably more than 10 years, but less than 20 years ago. So I'm going to call it 15 years. Paulie C from Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. It's been 15 years, I think. It's probably been barely 10. It's probably been like 10 years and 1 month, but I'm just going to call it 15 because I think it's been more than 10. Now, no, it doesn't matter. I won't keep going with it, but I'm just saying, time, it all runs together. It gets very blurry. You know who didn't believe in time, by the way, was Prince. I remember, back in the day, Kurt Loder on MTV in an interview asked Prince something about getting older or something. And Prince said, well, I don't believe in time. And Kurt Loder said, well, what do you use if you don't use time? And Prince said, I believe in the truth. And Kurt Loder just sat there looking perplexed. And I felt perplexed in watching that. But that was Prince. He was a genius. You know, he could get away with that kind of thing. But we have much to discuss today. 603-250-6007 is the number. If you'd like to join us, 603-250-6007 on the studio line. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me at Matt Connerton. Use it while you can. If you've ever even considered tweeting me or tweeting anyone for that matter, and you just haven't gotten around to it, maybe you have a Twitter account, but you just haven't bothered to actually tweet somebody, do it now. Don't wait any longer, because any day now, any hour, any second, Twitter could go away. It could go away. It's very vulnerable. You know, they got a skeleton crew for a staff. It's imploding as we speak. It could be gone by the time I get off the air today. There could be no more Twitter. So if you want to tweet me, it's at Matt Connerton. Do it right now. And if I see it, I'll read it on the air. If I even see it, you might tweet me, and then in the time between you tweeting me and me looking at Twitter to see if I have any tweets, Twitter could be gone. You can also, of course, email me, Matt at mattconnerton.com, and you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat, and we'll say hello to everybody in there in a moment. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and fully enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. We should take a moment and say hello to, we've got a few people in the Facebook live chat. Well, it's off to a slow start this week as far as the Facebook chat room. That's unusual. Maybe a Facebook glitch is underway, but Infinity Vein is in the their official band Facebook account. Not banned as in repressed, banned as in B-A-N-D, the band Infinity Vein, who are going to be joining us tomorrow. Our musical guest, trying to have one musical guest per week or more. It could be more, but I want to do at least one. I think it's good for my soul, and I think it's good for my mental health to take time out from politics and interview musicians and talk about music. I really do. I'm not saying that to be funny. I sometimes I wonder if, you know, I struggle with depression and things like that. Sometimes I wonder if, as much as I love politics, is it actually slowly destroying me? I just don't realize it. Whereas music is always rejuvenating. I love speaking to musicians. I mean, I love talking to people about politics too. But there's other things I love. You know, I love speaking to musicians. I love speaking to entrepreneurs. I love Eric Pilcher's classic film review that we have every week, which gets us away from politics for a few minutes. You know, it's good to mix it up, as EZG likes to say, our friend EZG. But yes, so Infinity Vein will be joining us tomorrow in the second hour, and the official account says in the chat room, here for a few minutes, figured I'd drop in and say hi. And I said, glad you did. You might like today's opening song. So there you go. And they did. Miriam Banish joins us in the Facebook live chat and says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Miriam. Also, Rob Dion is in the chat and says, morning. Rob, of course, also part of the WMNH family. He does his own show here called Through the Stage Door, which you can hear Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. immediately following this show. And he does Name That Tune every Thursday morning on The Morning Show with Peter White. Of course, The Morning Show is weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. with a replay from 2 to 4 p.m. right before this show. But on Thursday mornings, Rob comes in, he brings his keyboard. They do Name That Tune. They do an entertainment report, and it's a very, very popular segment. Miriam says in the chat, politics is depressing for me, fascinating, but really just seems to bring out the worst in people. Yes, that's true. Although that's part of what makes it fascinating, I think, is that it does bring out the worst in people and the best in people. I don't know about it. Does it really bring out the best in people? But definitely the worst. On that, we can agree. Also, our friend Alex Whiteley from the UK is in the chat room and says, evening, folks. Evening, Alex. Also, Mike from Queen City Cabinetry, one of our great sponsors here at WMNH 95.3, is in the chat room as well. Hello, Mike. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, and hope everyone enjoyed some turkey, or as Jenny and I enjoyed some pizza, which is my food of preference on Thanksgiving. Let's see. Rocky Huber just popped in the chat room as well. and says, Rob, when am I going to be your +1 at a funeral? Oh, yes. I think one of the things that Rob Dion does is he goes and performs at funerals. And Rocky Huber apparently interested in attending a funeral with Rob as his +1. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. Personally, I avoid funerals, although I avoid death. It just seems death. It just seems inconvenient. Like if I ever die, I don't know how I'm going to do this show. You know what I mean? It'll get in the way. It'll make things really difficult. Alex Whiteley says, as an interviewer en masse over the last few years on over 1,000 podcasts, I agree. Talking about music, art, and creativity is such a privilege. Absolutely. Yeah. I do think it helps me. I do think it helps me feel better and get away from some of the negativity of politics. Also, Gonzo is in the Facebook live chat and says, happy drive home, Manchester. Yes, Manchester. I hope you're having a happy drive home. Those of you listening in your vehicles. And if you're new to the show, by the way, you heard me correctly. I do insist on pronouncing the H in the word vehicle. And the only reason I do it is because I did that once in front of someone who told me I sound like a D-bag when I say it that way. And it inspired me to continue to say it that way. Something about that just appeals to me. Yes. As you're driving in your vehicles. All right. Let's get into some stuff, shall we? Actually, let me give the number one more time. 603-250-6007. 603-250-6007. But I want to, and this will, actually, we have a call. So we'll go ahead. I think I know who this is. I think this is our friend Easy G.
Yes, it is.
How's Bruce?
I skunked him the other day in cribbage and beat him another hand.
What did you say? You beat him to death? What?
Cribbage.
Oh, cribbage. I remember when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my father would play cribbage with my great-grandmother.
Really?
Yes, and from that moment on, I just assume it's something that old people do.
Yeah, I also beat my father. I skunked him and I beat him.
You beat your father to death?
No, I skunked him in cribbage and I beat him in the next game.
I thought you'd turned to violence, Easy G. I know the holiday season is tough on some people, but we need you to remain calm and collected.
Right. Anyway, I'm calling you back. It's kind of loud in here. I'll call you back.
All right, Eric.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
A little loud. I'll call you back.
Yeah, call me back. Okay, very good. Yes, it is a little loud at the assisted living facility in which our friend Easy G is currently housed. That is his place of residence, and very loud. It must. Well, it is just a little bit after 4 p.m. It's probably dinner time. Probably getting some leftover turkey bits, and I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it, but he'll call us back later. Okay, very good. Very good. All right. Miriam Banish says, now say Kim Jong-un. That's right. Well, that actually is the correct pronunciation, though, Miriam. A lot of people don't realize this. They think it's Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-un, but it's actually Kim Jong-un. I know that because Dennis Rodman told me. I don't know if you all know this story, but Dennis Rodman, he and I happen to be close personal friends. I don't go out of my way to mention it because I don't like to brag, and it makes me sound like a star. So, but yes, we're close personal friends, and he is also close personal friends with Kim Jong-un. So it's like 2 degrees of separation there. And he told me that, that's how he pronounces his name. Rocky Huber says, I heard the most beautiful girls are found at a funeral. Think Wedding Crashers, Matt. Yes, well, but that's a movie. That's a movie, Rocky. I mean, you go to a funeral in real life and people are crying and sad, although people are wearing black, which is very metal, so if you're into the metal, I always wore a lot of black on stage. I would dress like I was at a funeral when I was on stage. Miriam likes the way I pronounce it. Thank you, Miriam. I want to talk about something that, and Jenny's probably not signed on yet, but she'll be surprised when she hears this later. I think she's occupied at the moment, but because I did not tell her I was going to speak about this today, and I only decided maybe 10 minutes before coming on the air today that I was going to speak about this subject. And there's, I had other things in mind that we'll get to later in the show. Like I want to talk about what's going on in China right now with the protests, the uprising about the zero COVID policies in China and the lockdowns and everything. And I want to talk about Iran demanding that the United States be kicked out of the World Cup. And there's a lot of fascinating things happening right now in the world. But there's something that I've been turning this over and over in my mind since last night when Jenny showed me a video. And I like it when I can find something where, when I think about, out of all the media that exists, all the broadcast media and all the online, all the podcasts, everything out there, I'm probably the only person in all of that vastness who's going to speak about this particular subject. And that just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing something unique and different and hopefully informative in some way. When I can find something that probably nobody else is talking about, or at least not talking about it from the perspective that I'm going to bring today. Now, it is about a YouTube channel, which has been referenced on the program before. And I have some thoughts on this. The YouTube channel is called Press NH Now. Now, I believe that this YouTube channel has been referenced by our friend Dave Ridley from the Ridley Report. And Dave Ridley is himself a very polarizing figure. But I like Dave. I mean, I certainly disagree with him on many things. Like, for example, he is a secessionist. He wants New Hampshire to exit the United States and be our own sovereign nation. Personally, I think the idea is absurd and preposterous and ridiculous and a colossal waste of time. But he advocates for that, and that's fine. I'm happy to discuss it with him. He knows my feelings on the matter. I know his. And we have a good dialogue. So I like Dave. I enjoy speaking with him. And some things, of course, we agree upon, too. Dave's a very libertarian person. I am in some ways libertarian. But Dave has mentioned this YouTube channel, Press NH Now. And I don't know if Press NH Now is one guy. I guess it is one guy. The description says here, "Welcome to my channel where we hold everyone in our government accountable under our First Amendment rights to free press." Now, what Dave has talked about and referred to this website is there is something that goes on, and I don't know if this goes on in other states. It probably does to varying degrees. Here in New Hampshire, we have a lot of libertarians here, a very strong libertarian movement. We have the Free State Project, which is here, the Free Staters. They are also very polarizing. I have friends who are Free Staters who I hold in high regard, who I have great affection for. And there are other Free Staters whom I've met who I was like, whoa, get away from me, crazy people. So, Free Staters, like any other group of people, they are not a monolith and should not, in my view, be judged as a group for the actions of some. I've met some that I think are great people. I've met some that I didn't think were so great. But I've also known some Free Staters who I thought were great people until the COVID-19 pandemic happened. And then I realized that a lot of these folks in the Liberty movement are actually, they're really more just right-wing Alex Jones type conspiracy theorists pretending to be libertarians, because once COVID hit, a lot of these folks really embraced, and by the way, this does not apply to Dave Ridley, what I'm saying right now, but a lot of these folks embraced conspiracy theories or even full-on COVID denialism and all of that, and it really kind of turned me off to that whole movement, even though I do agree with the movement fundamentally on some things. For example, I oppose the drug war. They oppose the drug war. I'm very libertarian when it comes to the drug war. I want to not only legalize cannabis fully, but across the board, I think everything should be not necessarily legalized, but decriminalized. And I don't want to get sidetracked with it. You know my feelings on it. But so we have common cause on some things. In fact, Back when New Hampshire first decriminalized cannabis, we still can't get to full legal, even though we're literally surrounded by places where it's fully legal, all our bordering states and Canada. We still can't get there. But some said at the time that without the Free State movement and the Free Staters who got elected to the New Hampshire House, that we might not have gotten to decriminalization, that helped do that, or marriage equality, same-sex marriage in New Hampshire. We were ahead of the rest of the country on that issue, getting that done. So, so I have, and by the way, I'm a transparency hawk. I want, and this is something where I have common cause with these folks. I want whatever it is, whatever the situation, whatever the agency, whatever's going on, I want the absolute maximum amount of transparency possible, always, just short of putting anybody in trouble or in jeopardy or compromising anyone's privacy. I want the maximum amount of transparency we can get without doing any actual harm to citizens or the country in a broad sense. So I'm sympathetic to a lot of it. I'm sympathetic to people filming police at traffic stops. I think that's a good thing to do. Keep people accountable. Keep our civil servants accountable. I'm in favor of all of that. Try not to don't get in the way of what someone's doing. Don't get in the way of somebody doing their job, right? Which and I'll expand on that in a moment when I talk about this video that I saw yesterday, that I had some. I caught feelings. I think the young people say that now over this video that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So, Easy G's calling back, but, actually, Eric, give us a call later, cause I'm in the middle of something. Sorry, Eric, but I don't, I want to get through this, subject. So, and you're probably not calling about this. So I share a lot of, the same ideals with people in the liberty movement. I was talking about music earlier, right? And that might be part of why I feel the way that I did watching this video. Now, I want to describe the video to you, but first let me say, so Dave Ridley, who may hear this and may end up calling, and that's fine. And if he doesn't call while I'm talking about this, Dave, then, we'll just address it the next time he does call. He goes through phases. Sometimes he'll call the show every week. And then he'll go a long stretch of time without calling the show at all, and we won't hear from him for months, and then he'll start calling the show again. And if he's unlucky, he'll call on a day when John Hopwood is here, and then John flips out at him. But that's really good radio, so I don't mind. And Dave can take it. He's a big boy. And then John always feels badly and apologizes for losing his temper. It's all great fun. But so what Dave has described, though, when talking about this YouTube channel, Press NH Now, is something called, I think, free speech auditing, which is where you go and you show up at some sort of government place, be it a police station or a courthouse, where you enter the courtroom, or some sort of, or the post office, or some sort of government office, something where government business is being done, and you have your phone and you record everything, and you're video recording the employees there and who's coming in and out of the building, and you might ask some questions about what's going on here, and because you want to find out. Again, this is the way Dave has explained it, Dave Ridley. I haven't talked to the guy who runs this YouTube channel. I don't know him. I think his name's Mark, but maybe we'll have him on the show at some point. But, I should, after I say what I'm going to say, I should give him an opportunity to respond, I suppose, if he wants to. But the way Dave has explained it is it's a way of sort of auditing the government, where you show up and you record what's going on in this government office, and you kind of push to get access to things. The guy in the video that we watched last night is actually talking about, as he's approaching, I believe it's the Department of Health and Human Services here in New Hampshire. here in our fair city right here in Manchester that he went to. I think that's what it was, Department of Health and Human Services. So he shows up there and he says something like, as he's approaching the building and he's talking, he's sort of narrating his approach. He's saying, maybe we'll talk to some people, we'll ask some questions of the employees, maybe we'll pull some records. It's like, pull some records. You think they're just going to let you walk in and what, do a Freedom of Information Act request verbally right there on the spot and try to get some records where, people have a right to privacy. They're not just going to give you somebody's records. What are you even talking about? He's probably just trolling when he says that, but that's what he's talking about. Yeah, maybe we'll pull some records. So what happens is, in this video, so he goes in there and he's filming with his phone. And he's filming the employees working, and they're behind glass. So they start, they're asking him, and they're very polite about it. They start asking him who he is, what is he doing there, why is he filming, could you please not film us, we don't want to be filmed. And of course, he's being belligerent. He's talking about, well, I have a right to film you, and I have a right to be here. This is government property. And at one point, one of the employees tells him, you're making everyone very uncomfortable. And, we have people citizens coming into our office to ask questions or whatever. And, you can't be filming everybody. You're violating their privacy. And he's just doing what these guys always do in these videos. They refuse to leave. They say, I'm just here. I'm just here to see what's going on. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to see what's going on with my tax dollars and observe everybody and all of that. And I had two thoughts. Now, as Jenny and I are watching this video, and again, it's on pressnh.now. That's a YouTube channel, and it has a huge subscriber base. 87.6 thousand subscribers, 87.6 thousand. So, hello to Melanie La Liberty in the Facebook live chat. Oh, and Jenny has joined us and says, shalom, peeps. So we're watching this video. Now, we've seen these videos before. A lot of the videos that Jenny will watch of this type are not the people who go into these government buildings and try to record everything, but traffic stops, people who get pulled over by the police, and they do this whole sovereign citizen routine. If you don't know what the sovereign citizen theory is, it's these people who think that the government has no actual right to hold them accountable for anything, and they're not actually subject to the criminal justice system, and they think that if that they don't have to obey any lawful commands by a police officer if pulled over, don't have to offer their driver's license, for example, or identify themselves, or they think that if you end up in a courtroom, there's just some magic words that you can say to the judge and they'll have to let you go no matter what it is that you're charged for because the court has no right to hold you. It's really, if you're not familiar with it, it's really bizarre. They claim that the reason your name on your checks, if you have a checking account, the reason your name, or a savings or whatever, but the reason on checks specifically, the reason your name is in all capital letters is because your name in capital letters represents the corporation that the government established in your name, not actually you, and you are somehow a separate entity. You and this corporation are separate entities. It's really strange. But our friend Ron is on the line. Hi, Ron.
Hey, I went to that website. Man, that guy is such a troublemaker. I hate people like him.
Yes. He's very hateable. He's very annoying.
You know, and that woman that steps out of the building, she handled it perfectly. And I didn't watch the whole thing. I got so angry to the point where I was like, all right, I've seen all I want to see. I would have, it's just, how can people How can people be that way? What else can I say? How can people be that way?
Yeah, well, I have some thoughts on that, which I'll get to, but I agree with your assessment of this guy. And by the way, I'm glad you called and said what you said, because that actually goes to the first point that I'm going to make in a minute. Your perception of him goes to the first point that I want to make about why these guys should not do that. So I'm really glad you called and said that.
Thanks for your time.
Absolutely, Ron. Thank you. Anytime. Yeah, that was a good insight from Ron. Oh, Easy G, I see you in the Facebook live chat. Yes, the phone is working, but I'm going to ask you to hold off on calling me back, Eric, unless you're calling specifically about this subject, because I got to spend a few minutes on this. I don't want to get distracted with something else. You're welcome to call, but if it's not about this specific subject, I'd ask you to just hold off for a little bit. Thank you. So yeah, what Ron said, absolutely on point. This guy, he's just obnoxious. He's in this office, he's filming, he's being annoying, he won't go away. They're very polite to him, but they ask him to please leave because he's making everybody uncomfortable and he refuses to leave. Now, I have two specific thoughts about this that I wanted to share. And I've seen videos like this before, but there's a couple things that hadn't really occurred to me until actually watching this particular video. And this is why I'm talking about this today. This really stuck with me. This one stuck with me. Actually, a few thoughts. But first of all, to Ron's point, if you look at the comments, if you look at that video and you look at the comments, and by the way, I should share this out to the, because I do have it pulled up. Let me share this out to the Matt Connerton Unleashed Facebook page. So you can, whether you're on Facebook in our chat room, or whether you're, if you're not in the chat room, but you're just able to access Facebook, you can see this and, maybe even watch some of it with the volume down while you, while you listen to me. This is going to be this is going to be more involved than I thought. Maybe Jenny could do it since we know she's listening. Jenny, if you wouldn't mind. If you could share out that video, that would be wonderful. It would be very helpful. I do want people to be able to see it. And if not, I'll definitely share it out at the break. But some people might want to see it in real time as I'm talking about it. But if you're in the liberty movement, I know Dave Ridley, he calls, he seems to think this kind of stuff is great. And if you look at the comments underneath the videos, oh, Jenny says, will do. Thank you. If you look at the comments under these videos or any of this guy's videos, everybody's very sort of rah, you're doing a great thing. This is great. Got to hold these government tyrants accountable and got to watch what they do. And you're doing an amazing job. You're really doing a service by going into this building and harassing these people, except they don't see it as harassment. I want to be very clear, and anybody listening, anybody who is involved in the liberty movement in any way, on any level, God love you. But again, I agree with you on many things, and I'm for maximum transparency in all of it, and I want to know where my tax dollars are doing and what's being done with them. I share all of those concerns with you, maybe to varying degrees, but I share those concerns. But listen, you should not want this kind of thing going on. Every single one of you in the liberty movement who encourages what this guy does, or anyone who does what this guy does, you are actually harming yourselves and you don't even realize it. There is a shocking level of just a complete lack of self-awareness with this kind of stuff. And I'll tell you why. What did Ron say when he called? This guy's just annoying. This guy's a nut, or whatever it was that Ron said, right? Something like that. Something derogatory about this guy. And he's right, because what happens is anybody outside of the liberty movement who sees something like that, all you're doing with this kind of behavior, all you're doing is feeding into the caricature that people have, that non-libertarians have of libertarians. You're feeding in to the caricature of libertarians as just these lunatics who do weird things, like show up at government offices and want to film employees who are very uncomfortable being on camera. You're just feeding into that. In other words, non-libertarians already think you're crazy, and you're going out of your way to make yourself seem even more crazy. And we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, Matt, it's Paul.
Hey, Paul, what's up?
Hey, I watch a lot of those videos, and I got to tell you, the most brilliant part about these people is that, okay, so they're in there and they're doing their their work,
Yes.
quote unquote, and it gets to a point where they're being asked to leave.
Yes.
And they have to when they're being told to leave, or they're going to get trespassed.
Right.
And they don't understand. I mean, it's not even the government buildings so much as well, but going into any of these public establishments and just totally Karening out about something because of their rights. And then they're being told that they're trespassing because they've been asked to leave and they're refusing to leave, and they have to leave or they will get trespassed. And they just continue to go on and on about how I'm in a public place and I have a right to be here. Well, the person who runs the building has the right to throw anybody out whenever they want to.
Right.
And they are throwing you out now because you have no life and you need a girlfriend and you need to establish some kind of life rather than filling in this void by seeking this attention.
Yes.
That you didn't get when you were a kid or something. I don't know. But it's just really, really insane how these people are adamant about how they're taming these tyrants. Tyrants. Who's a tyrant? Who's the tyrant here?
Right.
And and just keep in mind when somebody who's running a building tells you that you need to leave, and if you don't, you're going to get arrested. Well, guess what, genius? You're going to get arrested.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't accomplish anything. There's so many things that these people, these liberty activists, could be doing that would actually be productive. But instead, they waste their time on stuff like this. And you're right; they're annoying and they Karen out, and they they all believe. They'll tell you if you ask them, they'll tell you they believe in the right of free association, except when it comes to them. Someone doesn't want them around. Someone doesn't want to associate with them, and tells them to leave. They refuse to leave. So it applies to everyone else, but not to them.
Right. And these sovereign citizens with the driving, I heard you were talking about that too. And their whole story behind that when they're getting pulled over is just the silliest thing you'll ever hear. I'm not driving, I am riding.
Yes.
I mean, just please shut up. Go ride off a bridge. Thank you.
Yeah. Well said, Paul. Well said.
All right, Matt, I love you. I will see you Friday. Everything is going great. We're going to have a great show on Friday. We got Katie coming in and Mikey, and we're going to do that country crossover episode again from scratch.
Outstanding. Looking forward to it. Can't wait.
All right, brother. We'll see you. Thanks a lot.
All right, my friend. Bye-bye. All right, excellent. That was Paulie C. from Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C., which you can hear every Friday night from 8 to 11 p.m. right here on WMNH 95.3. And I have the honor and privilege of being one of Paul's co-hosts on that show. And yes, it sounds like Katie from the morning show is going to be joining us this Friday, as well as Texas Mike. So we look forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. But yes, I didn't know that Paul was also a purveyor of that content with the sovereign citizen guys. And I agree with what Paul had to say. Yeah, they'll tell you they have a right to travel. And they do have a right to travel, but that doesn't mean they have a right to drive on the road with an unregistered car or something, or an expired license. No right is absolute. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, just one final comment, and I'll leave it be.
Sure.
You're watching that video. There's 3 of Manchester's police officers that could be doing something productive.
Yes.
And instead, what are they doing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They could be out on the beat. It's just... that aggravated me watching that video. It did.
Yep, absolutely. I'm with you.
All right, thanks.
All right, Ron, thank you. Bye-bye. If you'd like to chime in, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Here's the other big thing that bothered me, though, that occurred to me, and as I'm watching this video, and this really bothered me. So, and I pointed this out to Jenny. So it looked like everybody that worked in this office, there were several different women working in this office. And a couple of them came out and they, talked to the guy and were very polite and asked him, you got to leave or we're going to have to call the police and so on and so and so. But notice what I said there. I said there were a bunch of women. It looked like everybody working there was women. This had never happened before watching one of these videos, but as I'm watching this video, something occurred to me, and I actually became not really amused or even just the eye rolling that I usually do when I see one of these videos. I started to become angry, and I'll tell you why. Because this guy with this phone, who even when they draw the shades down on the windows because they're behind glass in this office, and he's going right up to the shades and finding a crack where he can put his phone and zoom in on these women who are working. That to me, if I had no idea, let's say, for example, there's no audio on the video. Let's say the video is silent. For some reason, something went wrong with the audio, and I'm just watching this video. Can't hear anything. Just watching what's happening. And I have no idea what it's about, what the premise is. All I can see is the video, no sound. I would think that whoever was filming was actually stalking these women. And that's what started to make me angry, because this guy from this YouTube channel is doing this. He's being, to me, it comes off as very stalkerish. And again, that's part of why I'm so horrified as I look at all the comments and all the people commenting on YouTube, lauding what this guy's doing and encouraging him. It's like, he comes off as a stalker. So that goes to not only my first point about how this actually feeds into the negative stereotypes that non-libertarians have of libertarians, but it also, it makes me angry because I am particularly irritated whenever I see or I hear about or I see a video of anything where women are being intimidated by a man. That really gets under my skin very, very quickly. Seeing a man act and exhibit intimidating behavior toward women and actively making women uncomfortable, whether it's sexual harassment or a threat of actual violence or whatever it is, that makes me angry. And it was the first time I'd ever seen these videos. Like I said, it's like, usually you watch a video like this, it's like, oh, this guy's an idiot. And, you kind of roll your eyes and whatever. I was actually getting angry watching this video because he's behaving like a stalker. Like a stalker. He's zooming in on the different women in the office. It's all women who work there, apparently. If there were any guys, I think at one point a guy did come out. I think he might have been a security guy, but it looked like in the office it was almost all women. Everybody who came out and interacted with this guy was female. And he's standing there with his camera and he's making sure he gets everybody and zooming in on people. Very, very stalkerish. And that really gets under my skin. That really bothers me. Any kind of behavior like that, I'm not only creeped out by, but it makes me angry. It makes me very angry. So that's another problem I have with this and what this guy does. So like I said, Dave Ridley has referred to this YouTube channel. If he calls in, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But again, if you're in the liberty movement, if you are liberty adjacent, if you're a Free Stater, if you're a friend of the Free Staters, if you're part of any other group that's pro-liberty, you should want this kind of thing to stop. You should not be encouraging this. It is obnoxious, it is unproductive, and it does you more harm than good. You think, right, if you're in support of this, you probably think this is some sort of protest, maybe even civil disobedience by refusing to leave, when the police show up and ask you to leave. And by the way, God bless the police in this video. They were very patient. They kept their calm. They didn't let this guy get under their skin, even though he was absolutely definitely trying to, right? Trying to provoke them, but they wouldn't take the bait. They were very professional. So I compliment the Manchester police on that for their handling of the situation. I think they did an excellent job. But like Ron was saying, there's actual crime going on that these police probably would have felt better dealing with than having to go and deal with this guy who's filming these women while they're at work and refuses to leave. This stalker who is filming these women. That is stalker behavior. And I'm sure there are other things that they could have been doing that would have been more productive and protecting and serving in the community than having to deal with this jerk. Okay, so I agree with what Ron said about that. But if you're in the liberty movement, you shouldn't want this going on because it doesn't reflect well. It doesn't reflect well. No one is going to, let me put it this way. Something like this isn't going to win anybody over. You know what I mean? Someone who is, as you would call them, a quote unquote statist, a non-libertarian, isn't going to look at this and say, oh, this seems like reasonable behavior. I think I should open my mind to some of the ideas that these people have. Because some of the ideas that these people have, I happen to agree with and I happen to think are perfectly valid. But again, we have issues we agree on here, right? So I'm not attacking the ideology. I'm attacking this kind of behavior because it's not going to win anybody over. All it does is alienate people and drive people away. There are plenty of things that you can do. My God, especially in the area that we live in with the internet and with the, anybody can set up a podcast or, there's plenty of things that you can do that are productive to project your message and your ideas and there are legitimate things that you can go and organize protests about. But this is objectively harmful to your movement, objectively harmful. I mean, you can make subjective assessments of other forms of protest or civil disobedience or whatever you want to label it, right? For example, Colin Kaepernick kneeling on a football field during the anthem. That's a subject we've discussed many times on the show. If you're a longtime listener, you know my feelings. Some of my listeners agree with me. Some of my listeners vehemently disagree with me. That's fine. I don't want to get sidetracked with that, but I'm just saying there are some things that we can disagree on, but have a discussion over and a debate about. But not what this guy does. What this guy does is objectively bad because there is no way, there is nothing about what this guy does that is going to convince anybody to suddenly become pro-liberty or get excited about going and audit with their phone, taking video at a government office. Nothing about this is going to attract anyone who isn't already in this movement and who already thinks this is a great thing. You're not going to broaden your coalition with this, with weird, creepy incel stalker behavior like this. It can only do harm. There's nothing good that can come from this unless you just get off in your own sick, twisted way on making women feel uncomfortable while they're at work. Because that's how this video comes off. This guy's getting off on making these women feel uncomfortable. I don't know. If he wants to come on the show, I'd be happy to talk to him and ask him, what exactly is it that you think you're accomplishing with your nonsense? No, I would be respectful, but I would ask him, what is it that you think you're accomplishing with this? And do the optics of this not bother you at all, how bad this looks? Because to an outsider, this looks bad. This looks like stalker behavior, not like you're any sort of serious activist or advocate. Our friend Alex Whiteley in the chat says, I'm sorry to stereotype, but years ago when I'd partake in a bit of smoky smoke, these are the kinds of things that those circles of friends would talk about. So I've always considered that this a topic of a bit of a, this topic is a bit of a stoner subject. Is that bad of me? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Alex. It's a stoner. What's a stoner subject? Like libertarianism, or I'm not exactly sure what you mean. If you could clarify that. Melanie in the chat says, "Wait, serious question. You're not talking about Ridley doing this, are you?" No. As far as I know, no. Dave Ridley. Now, Dave Ridley does film, and I've seen some of his videos. But to Dave's credit, what he does, he'll show up at a campaign event, for example, and try to film it. And he called into the show one day and talked about getting kicked out of, I can't remember who the candidate was, but I guess there were some people there who recognized him. It was a Republican candidate for something who ended up losing, I think. But I don't think it was Don Bolduc, right? No, I think it was somebody. It wasn't a Senate candidate. It was a House candidate. It might have. Anyway, he showed up and had a question or something, and they kind of pushed him out the door. But that's perfectly legitimate. Showing up, what Dave has done historically is, he'll show up at an event like that, or he'll show up at a meeting, like, a town meeting or something, and he'll want to record it. And they'll give him a hard time and tell him he can't record it. And it's like, okay, well, this is a public meeting. Anyone can walk into this meeting. Why can't I record it? And I think Dave's right. That's a matter of government accountability. You should be able to show up and record, unless it's a closed meeting because someone's privacy needs to be protected. But again, I'm a transparency hawk. I want, like I always say, I want the maximum amount of transparency that we can have, short of doing harm. So I don't want anyone's privacy violated. I don't want to, I wouldn't want to do anything that somehow damaged our national security, for example. I understand the government has to keep secrets. Understanding all of that, I want the maximum amount of transparency I can have without doing harm. So I think what Dave does is fine. I don't think Dave shows up at like the Department of Health and Human Services and starts filming women working in an office. I don't think Dave would do that. If I find out I'm wrong about that, I'll be very disappointed. But I think Dave tries to do something a little bit more productive in terms of his content. Let's see. Gonzo is in the chat and says, I'm surprised that these women are not trained how to handle these situations. Maybe this will lead to some training in the future. Well, the thing is, Gonzo, there's not much they can do other than politely ask him to leave, which they did, and then threaten to call the police, which they did. Yeah, this one woman came out. She was very polite. She was very professional, but she talked to the guy and said, we need you to leave. You're making everyone uncomfortable. And if you're not going to leave, I'm going to go and call the police. And she was very polite, very pleasant. She didn't lose her temper. She didn't come out yelling. She just, she kept a cool head. But, what more can you do? There really isn't anything. Maybe pull out some mace and start spraying the. No, of course not. You wouldn't do that. But unless he resorted to violence. Melanie says, are you saying women are responsible for men's behavior? Oh, you're responding to Gonzo's comment. I don't think that's what Gonzo means. But yeah, I just don't know what could they do? I don't know what these women could have done other than call the police, which is what ended up happening. Alex Whiteley says, stoners sitting around talking about what the police and officials can or can't do and conspiracies. I see videos like this one and get the feeling that the main viewership are those kind of stoners maybe. Oh, I see what you're saying, Alex. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's a good theory. I may have actually witnessed some of that in person, actually. That kind of behavior. People sitting around watching these videos talking about, yeah, man, this guy's sticking it to the man, filming these people in this office. Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying, Alex. Yeah, I don't disagree, certainly. Anyway. All right. Well, oh, Jesus, already almost the top of the hour. We spent more time on that than I intended to. And how often do you hear me say something like that? As you're all thinking, it happens every week, Matt, multiple times. You'll say, we spent more time on that than I intended. But we are at the top of the hour. Let's take a break. I'm going to play, I don't know if it's Mary or Mari, M-A-R-I, but this is a Boston artist, Mary Catman. She's got an electronic artist. I really like what she does. She's got a new track called Fever Shakes. I'm going to play that in a moment. Oh, Melanie said in the chat room, I ask because my daughter's high school addressed boys looking up girls' skirts going upstairs by changing dress code of girls and shaming them that they were responsible for their behavior. I see. Interesting. I can see why you would ask that then. Yeah. Yeah, instead of just telling the boys not to do that and inflicting some discipline. Yep. I'm sorry that happened. Rocky Huber says, to add to Gonzo's point, if they were taught about our freedom of press, I assume you're making a joke, Rocky. If they were taught about our freedom of press, maybe it wouldn't be so scary. Yeah, no, that's not what's going on. I mean, this, the guy with the YouTube channel, that's what he's presenting, right? It's freedom of the press. While he's going and taking these, filming these videos of these women who are just, he's not gaining any information or insight into what's going on in this office by filming these women. He's just filming these women. And then whatever it is he does with the video afterward. All right. We are at the top of the hour. Let's take a break. So I'm going to play this track. This is new from Mary Catman. This is Fever Shakes, and then we'll show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we'll be back. I'm actually on time today. Then we'll be back with hour number 2. Numero Dos of Matt Connerton, Unleashed. Don't go away. Plenty more to come. come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
Welcome back, everybody. We are well in hour number 2, numero dos of Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester, and hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Monday, November 28, 2022. Almost at 18, time traveling. Welcome, everybody. If you'd like to join us today in the studio, 603-250-6007 is the number, not in studio, but on the studio line, I should say. 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. Tweet me while you still can at Matt Connerton. And, of course, you can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com, and you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Quick programming note, tomorrow I will be joined in the second hour via Skype by members of the band Infinity Vein. We opened the show today with their great track, The Unknown. So really looking forward to speaking with them tomorrow on the program. And the track I played going into the break, that was Mari Catman, and that song is called Fever Shakes. I noticed people in the Facebook live chat really like that. Alex Whiteley said, what is this track? It's mint. Jenny said, this is awesome. Mike from Queen City Cabinetry said, I like this song. Yeah, that is great, isn't it? That's going to be, that's going into the rotation on the show. You'll probably be hearing that one once a week, at least for a while. I'll try to get her on the show. Yeah, she's, check out her other music. It's really good. Everything she does is really good. She is from Boston, I believe. And I really like her a lot. But that is a great track. That is an absolutely great track. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. 603-250-6007, 250-6007. Let's see. Should we talk about, let's talk about what's going on in China, because this is really ramping up the protests, the civil unrest in China. And China is a place, and of course, if you know about Tiananmen Square, if you remember it, you know that China is a place where you rise up and protest the government at your own peril. There's a tremendous risk that comes with that. And in the case of Tiananmen Square, you know, they rolled those tanks and some people died. And that was, just because they haven't done that yet with what's currently going on doesn't mean it's not coming. With Tiananmen Square, that went on for about 6 weeks before the Chinese rolled in the tanks. So sometimes they let things percolate a bit before they act. But this time around, it is about China's zero COVID policy, and they've got these lockdowns. You know, it's people complain. Some people, you know, we're talking the first hour about the Liberty people. For example, people complain about lockdowns and shutdowns here, and some of the ways that some would consider draconian, some of the ways that we dealt with the pandemic in the early days of it. Personally, I generally agreed with the mitigation steps that were taken by our government. A global pandemic, it's a once-in-a-century event, and when it happens, you have to do some hard things and some things that you don't really want to do. But you've got to do it. You've got to deal with it head on. So I agreed with it. Oh, hello to our friend Scott Robinson in the Facebook live chat. But China, I mean, you know, again, if you thought what went on here was inconvenient, or, you know, being asked to wear a face mask, walking into a store and things like that, and it was just, it's just so terrible, so horrible. You just felt so put out. Well, how'd you like to be in China, where they have a zero COVID policy, and, you know, one case, somebody tests positive for COVID, and next thing you know, they're shutting down an entire workplace, or an entire apartment building, or an entire city, if need be. They're really, really strict about it. Now, you might think, well, Matt, you're a self-proclaimed COVID hawk. You should like that. But no, I don't, because, you know, for one thing, there is such a thing as going too far. But for another thing, China has taken a very bizarre approach to dealing with COVID, because it's almost like they insist on continuing to do so. And, you know, Xi Jinping, he just won re-election, and he's probably going to be in charge for the rest of his life. They have a zero COVID policy. They deal with it in the toughest way possible in terms of lockdowns and shutdowns, but without bothering to get anybody vaccinated. See, the reason they're doing so poorly, and countries like the United States are doing, you know, we'll see what this winter brings, and I am concerned about it, but so far we're still in a much, much better position than we were 2 years ago, certainly. By far a better position. So we'll see what winter brings. Hopefully more people will get vaccinated, and I still think that's the absolute best thing that we can do. And I think that that's the thing that China has been missing from their entire strategy. You know, they've really demoralized, more so than they already were, demoralized their own population with the lockdowns. But they don't bother to get anybody vaccinated. They're not using, I shouldn't say that. They have very low vaccination rates, and they're not using the same mRNA vaccine technology that the United States is using. I'm not sure exactly what they are using, and maybe we'll see in this article here. I've got something from CNBC that is kind of the latest update on this. The United States is now criticizing China's zero COVID strategy, but they're not vaccinating people, and they're not using the mRNA technology. And so at this rate, how are they ever going to get this under control? What they're doing now clearly is not working, because we're 2.5 years into this, almost 3 years into this, and China is still struggling mightily to get this under control. And it's really taken a toll on their economy. They had forecasted at one point, I think, 5% growth for this year, and it's turning out to be half of that, or a little more than half, I think, but it's really doing some damage to the economy. But let's look at this a little bit closer. I'm fascinated by this because I don't understand. I mean, to me, the answers for how to handle this seem fairly obvious, right? Get people vaccinated. And in China, see, in the United States, we have freedom, and, you know, there's no such thing as, you know, you'll hear people complain about mandatory vaccinations. There's no such thing as mandatory vaccinations. And you are perfectly free not to get vaccinated. And at this point, enough people are vaccinated. No one even really cares if you're not, because everyone can protect themselves and hopefully protect their loved ones by getting vaccinated. So, you know, it's not, let's look at this. I just don't understand why not make vaccines a priority when what you're doing is clearly not working. I don't get it. But this is from CNBC.com. U.S. criticizes China's zero COVID strategy, says Beijing needs to boost vaccination among elderly. Yeah, that's the thing. Even the most vulnerable among them, they haven't vaccinated them. Some key points. Top U.S. health officials said China's zero COVID strategy is not an effective way to control the virus, and Beijing should focus on vaccinating the elderly. The White House, in a statement, said the Chinese people have the right to protest peacefully. Rare protests broke out against COVID lockdowns in Beijing, Shanghai, and another city I don't know how to pronounce, and other cities over the weekend. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, so in China, if the country is if the citizens of the country are really starting to speak out and there's a bit of an uprising going on, you know they're upset, because that's not a country where they don't have the same freedoms that we do. They don't have a right to protest like we do. That is endemic of their system. You're taking a risk. You've really got to be at your wit's end if you're going to risk going out and protesting the current government's policies on COVID, because something might happen to you. That's a country where something happens. You step out of line, something happens to you. Unless part of China's strategy, maybe Xi Jinping, maybe he figures, you know what, we're going to push this all the way to the breaking point, and then we're going to say, okay, well, we have some vaccine, and everybody who gets vaccinated is going to be free from having to be forced into lockdown. Maybe that's like a long-term, I mean, they are long-term planners. Maybe that's a long-term strategy to make sure that everyone in the country gets vaccinated. Push them to the point where they can't possibly say no. But then again, China's a place where they could have mandatory vaccinations. Like I said, I started this point before and then I lost the thread. In the United States, people complained about mandatory vaccinations when there's no such thing in the United States. No one can force you to get vaccinated. Even workplaces that were trying to implement some sort of policy where you'd have to be vaccinated to work there, if they were employees of, larger companies, more than 25 people or something, people would have to be vaccinated or submit to daily testing and wear a mask, and all of that fell by the wayside. None of it was ever enforced. None of it was ever going to be enforced. But in China, if the Chinese government tells their people you're getting vaccinated, guess what? There's not going to be any arguments about it. Unless people are going to rise up and take to the streets about that, about mandatory vaccinations. But at this point, they're probably long past the point where they would be perfectly happy to get vaccinated. Fine, vaccinate me. Just let's end the lockdowns, please. This is killing us. Hello, by the way, to our friend Chris Rose from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, who I see in the Facebook live chat. Also, Heartbeat Golden joins us. I have a feeling that Heartbeat Golden is from Greensboro, North Carolina. And Heartbeat Golden says, we hope, #Matt, that China win. And we hope there is a cure to get rid of COVID. Yes. It says here, the White House today criticized Beijing's zero COVID strategy as ineffective and said the Chinese people have a right to peacefully protest. A spokesperson for Biden's National Security Council said in a statement, quote, we've long said everyone has the right to peacefully protest here in the United States and around the world. This includes in the PRC, the People's Republic of China. says rare protests broke out against COVID lockdowns in Beijing, Shanghai, and other other cities over the weekend. Nearly 3 years after the virus first emerged in Wuhan. Think about that. 3 years. We're 3 years into this. Since the virus first emerged in Wuhan, China is still imposing strict social controls to quash COVID outbreaks, while countries such as the U.S. have largely returned to normal life. See, if they don't, this is going to go on forever for them. If they don't start vaccinating people, if they don't start making use of the mRNA vaccines that are available, how is this ever going to end for China? I don't see how it ends. The NSC spokesperson said, quote, "We've said that zero COVID is not a policy we are pursuing here in the U.S. And as we've said, we think it's going to be very difficult for the People's Republic of China to be able to contain this virus through their zero COVID strategy," unquote. The U.S. COVID response is focused on increasing vaccination rates and making testing and treatment more accessible, the spokesperson said. China's stringent COVID controls have kept deaths very low compared to the U.S., but the measures have also deeply disrupted economic and social life. In China, more than 30,000 people have died from COVID since the pandemic began, according to the World Health Organization. In the U.S., more than 1 million people have died. So it's not all bad news for China. They've kept their death rate much lower, actually, than the United States. 30,000 is a hell of a lot less than 1 million. So they did something right. But again, the second step is missing, right? The vaccines. Jason Feddersen joins us in the chat room. Hi, Jason. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top infectious expert in the U.S., said China's approach to COVID, quote, "doesn't make public health sense," unquote. Vaccination rates among the elderly, one of the groups most vulnerable to COVID, are low in China compared to other countries. The vaccination campaign in China focused on people in critical positions critical positions first, age 18 to 59 next, and only then people ages 60 and over. I get it. So the oldest people at the back of the line, 60 and older, you're at the back of the line. You're actually after people 18 to 59. Now, why is that? Why would they do that? Because I have to guess they see older people as expendable. Why else would that be? In the United States, we did the opposite. The most vulnerable were in line first. We had a tier system when the vaccines first rolled out. The most vulnerable got vaccinated first. Older people got vaccinated first, not last. Fauci told NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, quote, "If you look at the prevalence of vaccinations among the elderly, that it was almost counterproductive. The people you really needed to protect were not getting protected," unquote. A temporary lockdown might make sense if the goal was to buy time to boost vaccination rates, but China doesn't seem to be doing that, he said. It's bizarre. Fauci said, quote, "It seems that in China, it was just a very, very strict, extraordinary lockdown where you lock people in the house, but without any seemingly end game to it," unquote. Right, exactly. What's the end game with this strategy or lack thereof? It's going to go on forever. They are never going to get rid of COVID in China. I mean, look, we're never getting rid of it here either, right? We're stuck with this for the rest of our lives to some degree. It will be endemic. And hopefully we get to a point, hopefully, again, I'm concerned about what this winter might bring. Cautiously optimistic, but concerned. But, it might get to a point where it's just, every year, get a flu shot, get your COVID shot. Maybe eventually they can even combine them, but we're never getting rid of it. But China, if they're going to continue on this course, the lockdowns are never going to end. There doesn't seem to be a long-term strategy here, which is ironic because China, they're known for their long-term planning. They have 50-year plans and 100-year plans. Yet for this, just rolling lockdowns, they're just going to do this forever? Scott Robinson in the chat says, well, they need the younger people to be healthy so they can work in the sweatshops so we can have our Nikes. That's an excellent point, Scott. I think you're absolutely correct about that. And we know they certainly don't care about workers in China. Did you know that in China, there are factories where they actually put up netting around the outside perimeters of these factories so that when workers go up on the roof to jump off, they land on a net like they're a trapeze artist, because workers were committing suicide in China. No life, no future, just going to work every day, working all day, every day in a factory, and then, somebody just says, okay, that's enough. This is it. This is all there is for me. They go to the roof, they jump off. So they put up nets to keep their workers from killing themselves. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
Connerton, he's on the scene. He's meaner than nice, but nicer than mean.
I know that voice. Were you listening earlier, Dave?
But I'm not Connerton. Hey, yeah, so, I'm out walking, so I wasn't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, you weren't listening earlier?
Correct.
Oh, well, it's a remarkable coincidence that you called then, because your name came up earlier.
Oh, good. Well, I guess if they're talking about me, I'm winning.
Well, so I wasn't saying anything critical of you directly. In fact, I said some positive things, but I was critical of this YouTube channel that you've talked about before, this Press NH Now. Do you have a...
Okay, what did they do? What did they do wrong?
Well, here's the thing. I've come to a conclusion, Dave. So these videos where there's this newest one, this guy Mark, I don't know his last name. And by the way, not to run him down on a personal level or anything. I don't know him. He might be a perfectly lovely individual. But he goes into, I don't know if you've seen the video. He goes into this office. There's these female employees. He's in there filming them. They politely ask him to leave. They're making it, he's making them uncomfortable. He wasn't leave. The police show up, And I realized something, Dave. And you've talked about these types of videos before. And I know you go to places and you film, but you go to like public events, or what should be public events, like town meetings and things like that. I don't think you do this type of thing though, do you? Where you show up and make someone uncomfortable and then refuse to leave?
Well, it depends. If it's a government-funded institution, I think he's not only within his rights, but it's probably good to be doing something along those lines. If it's not government-funded, that's different. I think you're just kind of bothering people without a real good reason. But it depends, I mean, if you go into a private business and you try to film because the private business committed some act of aggression or something like that, and that's a time-tested thing that, mainstream press has done for a long time. Outside New Hampshire, where there's no wiretapping laws, the media will get their hidden cameras, into businesses and film bad things businesses are doing. I'm not sure there's anything wrong with that.
Right. But so in this particular instance, have you seen this video? He goes into, I think it's the Department of Health and Human Services here in Manchester, and he goes in, and there's female employees working, and he's filming them, and he's zooming in on them, and finally they ask him, could you please leave? You're making everyone uncomfortable, and he refuses to do so. And have you seen this video? It just went up in the last couple of days.
No, but the key word there is Health and Human Services. That means he paid for it, so he has a right to videotape what they're doing. Unless I'm missing something.
So I have two problems. Here's problem number one. I think that type of, so in the video, to me, if I were just seeing something like that for the first time, and obviously I've seen other videos like this, but if I were someone who might be interested in the liberty movement, but then I see a video like that, maybe I don't know much about the liberty movement or whatever term you want to give it, but I see something like, but I'm interested, right? But then I see something like that, I'm looking at, the guy comes off like this weirdo stalker in the video, right? He's filming these female employees. He's making everyone uncomfortable. He's not, there doesn't seem to be any productive reason for him to be there. He's just filming them while they do their paperwork and whatnot. It comes off as very stalkerish, especially because he's a guy and it's a bunch of women in this office. And to me, it actually reflects poorly. The optics of it, in terms of how it reflects on the liberty movement, I think are very, very bad. And so I would suggest discouraging that type of behavior. It's one thing to walk into a public meeting, or even a meeting that's maybe private but should be public that the government is holding, or film a police stop because you want to make sure the police are accountable for whatever they do. I can understand all of that. But walking into this office and filming a bunch of female employees who are clearly creeped out and uncomfortable, I think it reflects very poorly. And I think it's bad for the movement. I just think it's bad for the movement. It looks really bad, and it looks creepy, and it looks stalkerish. It's like he's stalking them. That's how it comes off. That's just my opinion. I'm curious what you think.
Well, I mean, you think about it. If you silence people like me, you silence good cops, you're going to get bad cops, right? So I'm censored. I can't get any hits hardly. I don't know what he's doing to get hits. I don't know how he's pulling it off, because my YouTube channel, I'm not even allowed to put things on it anymore, basically.
Yeah.
They threatened me to take the whole channel down if I keep uploading videos, basically. So I don't really do much Riddler Report anymore. My Riddler Report is just calls to talk radio, basically. And so I've been silenced, and you're stuck with people like him. So maybe I shouldn't have been silenced.
Well, I agree. I've never seen you do anything like what this guy does. Like I said, the things that I've seen that you've done, I think are perfectly valid. But this guy comes off as creepy. So, but when I look at the YouTube comments below it, and this is why I was curious what you think, but it sounds like you haven't seen this particular video. But people are encouraging him and lauding what he's doing, and it's like, I'll tell you what, if Jenny worked in that office, or if a female family member of mine worked in that office, or a close friend worked in that office, and this guy's lurking around with that camera, the way it comes across in that video, not only might I be turned off by the liberty movement, but I'd be really angry that a female in my life whom I love and care about is subjected to this guy who seems like a stalker. And I just think it's a bad look. And I don't understand why all these people are encouraging him. I think it's counterproductive, and it accomplishes nothing. And there's so many other productive things that one can do. And maybe he could take a lesson from you and do some of the work that you've done, which I think is actually productive and valid, and not just go stalking women at an office, which is how this comes off. It's a bad look, Dave.
Okay, so his misdeed here is that he comes off looking bad. Okay, fair enough. Maybe he does. I've seen some of his videos. He's not as polite as some people. Okay, so he comes off looking bad and impolite. Okay, so let's say it's a strike against him.
Menacing, more than impolite. Dave, let me just tag that for just quickly. He comes across more than impolite. He comes across as menacing and stalkerish and threatening. And by the way, it is a hot button with me. I get particularly angry when I see any instance where a man is coming off as menacing or threatening to females. That's a real hot button with me, which is why this video particularly bothered me. He comes across like he is actually stalking them. So I just want to clarify, it's more than impolite. It's not just impolite. It's beyond that. I just wanted to say that. But go ahead, Dave.
I should watch the video before casting judgment on it, pro or con. But let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that he's menacing.
Yes.
He seems menacing. He has a menacing demeanor. Okay, that's a strike against it. He has a menacing demeanor. But you compare that to the DHS employees. You're forced to pay their salary. They make you pay taxes to them, basically. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that to me. So he's got a long way to go before he's worse than a DHS employee.
Well, it's not a matter of being worse or better than anything. I'm talking about his behavior. I'm not even
what about their behavior? They stole some of your money last year, Matt, and they're going to steal some this year.
So I don't characterize it that way. You can if you like, but that makes it okay to stalk them?
Okay, maybe not, but you can understand why someone would.
No, I can't. I can't understand that, because it would never occur to me to do that.
Again, if you're treating a First Amendment audit on public property as stalking,
How is this a First Amendment audit, though? See, that's the thing. I don't understand this term First Amendment audit. The guy's going into a building and filming female employees while they do paperwork at their desks. How is that? What is being audited exactly? What is the First Amendment audit that's happening here? I don't understand.
Well, the fact that you're attacking it is a justification to some extent for doing it. At least the filming part, not necessarily the menacing part.
I don't understand that at all. The fact that I'm attacking it would justify.
The more a right is attacked, the more it needs to be exercised.
Oh, I disagree. But no. So the more I attack this guy behaving like a stalker, the more he should be behaving like a stalker.
Well, I'm talking about the filming.
Yeah, I am too. That's what I'm talking about. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, he goes into a DHHS office and films because the reason is, does there have to be a reason?
Does there have to be a reason?
It's his money. He paid for every brick. Well, I mean, he helps pay for every brick in that building and those people's salaries against his will. Of course, he's got a right to walk in there and film them.
So what would he not have a right to do, Dave? What would be the line? Does he have a right to go in there and sexually harass them? Like if he wanted to walk up to one of the employees and begin making lewd comments, would that be okay because his taxpayers, his tax money pays for that? If he wanted to walk up to one of the employees and say something lewd, would that be okay too? I mean, what so he can just walk in there and do anything he wants? Because his tax money pays for that building? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I sure wouldn't like it if he was saying stuff like that. But it's good in life to draw a line between speech and action. That's where when someone commits an action, that's when you can act against them. But acting against them because you don't like what they say, that's not really supposed to be an American way type of thing.
Yeah, but you shouldn't stalk people. You shouldn't stalk women. If you're a guy, I'm sorry, Dave. If you're a man, you should not be walking around taking video of women with your phone without their consent.
Well, no, the women do not have special rights because they're women. They have the same rights as men. They don't have fewer. They have the same. So, to me, it would be just the same if he was doing this to males.
I disagree, and not to sound old-fashioned, but I think, but again, I have a thing though. I have a very hard rule about you shouldn't do anything that makes women feel intimidated or in danger in any way or uncomfortable. There's just no justification for that.
Each of us is not responsible for how people react to us necessarily. I mean, we're responsible for what we do. Because I had an incident in the State House where I was filming a lobbyist. I made a habit of trying to film lobbyists pretty frequently, treat them the same as state reps to some extent. And I guess one lady took offense to that and came up and tried to cover up my camera. And so, I have this video of her covering up the camera because she was uncomfortable being filmed. Well, she was a lady, but every time I saw her after that, I made sure to film her because she was trying to stop me from filming.
Sure.
And she's my business because she's a lobbyist,
right?
Trying to determine public policy,
right?
And it's not my fault that she doesn't like to be filmed. If she's there in a public place affecting the laws that govern me, I have absolutely got that right to film her, and it's not my problem if she doesn't like it. In fact, it's better if she doesn't. In a sense, it's better if she doesn't like it, because it just reminds everybody how how dangerous lobbyists can be.
But that's not the same thing as going. You would not, Dave. I'd be shocked if you would. So I'm making an assumption here. But you would not go to an office. You would not go to the Department of Health and Human Services and see a bunch of women behind the glass working and just walk up to the glass and begin filming them and zooming in on their faces or trying to zoom in on a computer that one of them is working on and just be like super creepy. You would not do that, correct?
I'd probably only go sort of question to ask. Like the department
Right.
had done something recently that was
Right.
questionable, and I wanted to question everybody that worked at the department. I think
Exactly.
they're all guilty if the
And-
department does something bad.
And right.
Because they all work for it.
But that's my point, Dave. And going and doing that would be a perfectly reasonable and productive thing to do. You wouldn't go and just start filming these women and just to film them. That's my point,
Yeah.
Dave. And why?
I don't.
And why?
I
And why? And
yeah, I
why
tend-
wouldn't
I
you?
tend to avoid. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And why wouldn't you, Dave? Because that's super creepy, and you're not a creep. I'm saying the guy in this,
Well,
the
you
guy
know-
making this video is a creep. You're not.
I guess I want to have the public on my side.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm deferring to public opinion to some
Yes.
extent there.
That goes to
But
my
also,
other point.
yeah,
Right. That goes to my other point, Dave. This is bad for your move. This kind of thing is bad for your movement. But for some reason, if you look at the YouTube comments, everyone on this guy's YouTube channel, which has something like 87,000 subscribers, loves what this guy's doing. And it's like there's no self-awareness there. There's like nobody stops to think, wow, this guy behaving like a weirdo incel stalker might actually be bad for the liberty movement. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe the policy I have, and have you ever heard of Sergej Popovic?
No.
So he's kind of the guy that led the Serbian uprising in 1999 that ended the Balkan Wars. They overthrew their own government and stopped the wars. Basically, it wasn't hardly a shot fired after that revolution. And Popovic, I think it was Popovic, who said, you got to have three things. And I may be quoting somebody else from his same movement. This may be Ivan Yorovic's quote, actually. So Ivan Yorovic said, you got to have, to successfully have a peaceful revolution, you have to have unity, good planning, and nonviolent discipline. So I took that to heart and thought, well, how do we get nonviolent discipline in the liberty movement? We seem to already have it, but how do we maintain it?
Mm-hmm.
So my method of maintaining that is to warn anyone that actually threatens or advocates physically harming government workers. So if someone were to say something like that, like that a government worker needed to be physically harmed, then I would warn them, and then if they do it again, I cut them off. So I'm not going to be writing them any letters in jail. I'm not going to be helping them in any way. They stop existing for me. So that's how I try to help enforce nonviolent discipline. But I can't imagine myself cutting somebody off because I don't like their facial expression. Their demeanor is wrong, or they were filming and they didn't have a good reason written down somewhere. That to me, that wouldn't be a legitimate reason to cut somebody off.
But I think it's easy to say that when, you or I, Dave, will never be in a position where we're working in an office where there's we're women and there's this dude lurking around filming us. This guy you know what I'm saying?
The DHHS should probably not be disarming its workers. I don't know if workers at that building are required to disarm. I don't think they should be.
That came out of nowhere. What does that have to do with it?
Well, I mean, if you're worried about, oftentimes when you're worried about stalking people, it's because you're not allowed to carry a firearm to defend yourself. And these women may be all disarmed by DHHS, and that could be part of the reason why, if they feel scared, maybe that's the reason why. If they're all allowed to carry pistols to work, I don't think they'd be very scared of them.
Okay. so you think so they should so these women should either bring a pistol to work or it's, and if they don't have a pistol, then it's their own fault for being uncomfortable, I guess.
I just think they should have the right. I mean, I don't think you lose your right to self-defense when you become a bureaucrat. I know that some people in my movement might not feel that way, but I just think human rights go with the person, and they don't go away automatically just because you work for the government or you're in a government building.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a different subject, I think, but anyway, I think you and I are closer to agreeing than you might think, because like I said, I'd be curious to hear what you think after you watch the video. And like I said, I'm quite sure that you would not engage in the behavior that this guy engages in. Like I said, I cannot imagine you doing something like what he did. And the example that you gave of what you might do, where you go in and you have some questions or whatever, I think that's perfectly valid and reasonable. And I would encourage you. But what he did is just creepy and weird, and it yields nothing. It doesn't produce anything other than make these women uncomfortable. There doesn't seem to be any point beyond that. So that was my point.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I might support the human rights of these women, I don't think they have a right to stop him from filming his own taxpayer money in action.
How would you feel? A serious question though, Dave. Suppose you had a sister who worked there in this office, and there's this dude showing up, and he's just filming her, and it makes her uncomfortable. I mean, you'd be okay with it? You just say, well, he has a right to show up and film you. Well, I mean, you wouldn't think you wouldn't have any problem with that?
I would have a problem with my sister working for a bureaucracy.
Yeah, but what if she chose to? You know, it's funny. There is somebody who works there who shows up in the video who I thought was part of the Liberty movement, but maybe she left, which is kind of interesting. But I'm not going to get into that, and I won't say the person's name. But maybe you and your sister disagree, and maybe your sister likes working for the bureaucracy, but you still love your sister, right? And she tells
we'll still eat together at Thanksgiving, and she'll be stealing from me every year in between. That's what a taxpayer salary is. A taxpayer-funded salary is stolen property that you've accepted every year if you work for a bureaucracy.
So based on that, you'd be okay with some dude showing up at her job, filming her, or any job, not necessarily there, but any job. Your sister just has a job.
He'd be within his rights.
She has a job. She works in an office somewhere, and some dude's showing up and just filming her, just standing there filming her, and it makes her uncomfortable. And whatever, that's his right. Is that really how you'd feel? There's no part of you that would be bothered by that at all? Dave, are you still there? Dave? Maybe his sister's trying to call him, and he had to switch over. His sister's probably like, what? You'd be okay with that? Dave, are you there?
Okay, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you, yes.
I kicked you, sorry.
Oh, so I was just saying, there's no part of you that would be bothered by some dude showing up at your sister's job and just filming her and making her uncomfortable. You wouldn't think, well, that's not cool, or you just be like, well, that's his right. That's fine, you know.
I'd be uncomfortable with menacing behavior, but I'd like to think I would support. I would like to think I would support the right to film.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe we don't. Watch the video. Watch the video and let me know. Let me know at a later time what you think. But I'd be curious to know if you're comfortable with this guy's behavior, and I'd also be curious to know if you think there's anything productive, or if you think that it actually is a bad look. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on the optics of the whole thing, and I don't mean the literal optics of the video itself, but the larger optics, and whether or not it's good for the Liberty movement or not. And I say it's not.
Yeah, if he actually threatens to hurt a government worker, then let me know, and I will issue him a warning for what it's worth. I mean, he's not very dependent on me, but
there's no explicit threat, but women will often feel threatened when a dude is lurking around acting stalkerish. So that's an implicit there's an implicit threat there.
Yeah. Well, I did call with a piece of New Hampshire news if you want it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, as you know, there were some state reps that ran on an independence platform this year. There were 5 of them I guess there were 9 going into the primary, and 5 of them made it through their primaries. 5 incumbents and 1 challenger.
Okay.
So 6 New Hampshire independents or NH exit reps, whatever you want to call them, that. And all 5 of them were reelected, all the ones that ran in the general election. And the challenger, Jason Gerhardt, also won election. So we have 6 openly pro-independence state reps in the State House this coming session.
So for newer listeners who might not be familiar, so pro-independence, in other words, they're secessionists. They want New Hampshire to secede?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's progress for those of you who endeavor to have New Hampshire become independent. But all right, you feel good about it?
Yeah, it's an indication that it's not an election issue for people. Really, they're not going to throw you out of office over it. Apparently,
right. That's true. Yeah. All right. Very good.
Yeah. Although I think obviously the primary performance was not very good, but the general election performance was perfect.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Well, the thing stays alive, and there is independence-related legislation coming up in the coming session. I'll tell you about it in another call.
Absolutely. Please do. All right, Dave. I do appreciate the call, and I appreciate the discussion. And do you want to give anything a plug, Ridley Report or NH Exit or whatever it is you'd like to remind people about?
Oh yeah, just nhexit.us if you want to know more about the New Hampshire independence movement.
All right. Very good. All right, Dave Ridley. Thank you for the call. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome for the call.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was Dave Ridley from the Ridley Report and NH Exit. And we got a few minutes if anyone wants to get in with a quick call. 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. I'm glad he called. He did acknowledge he might be uncomfortable with someone filming his hypothetical, theoretical sister. I don't know. By the way, if you're just joining us and you don't know what all that was about, you'd have to go back to really the first hour of today's program where I really got into the whole reason why I was discussing this today on the show. And of course, the show will be up in the archive at WMNHradio.org in just a little bit. Yeah, quick call if anyone would like to at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Our friend Crystal from the great state of Illinois says in the chat room, oh, excuse me. Sounds like he's using intimidation methods. I'm sorry. Here it is. Sounds like he's using intimidation methods for justification for filming. So once public, if some wacko harms this woman, after watching the video, why is it? Sorry, it keeps scrolling up on me. If some wacko harms this woman after watching the video, is he willing to take responsibility for it? I assume you're referring to the guy who took the video from that YouTube channel. Yeah, that's a great point, Crystal. That's a great point. Might actually put these employees in danger, especially in these times where political violence is on the rise. Jenny in the chat says he'd rather the battered woman there for emergency food stamps feel horrible than go to jail, maybe for stealing. Scott Robinson says, I really don't understand this ideology. How do these people expect things to get done in the city or a state or a country who pays for it? How does it take care? How does it take care of to go back to the old West? I don't get it. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you can dislike government. I dislike government in some ways, but it is necessary. You might say it's a necessary evil if you want to characterize it that way. But government is necessary, and it's inevitable. If you could, I've always said, if you could wave an anarchist magic wand, and all of a sudden there simply was no government, not only would things begin to crumble, but people would be very concerned about the crumbling, and they'd be looking around going, hey, we need to organize. And maybe we need to put people in charge of things. And if we're going to put people in charge of things, we're going to have some rules or laws about things and how things are going to work. We're going to need to have some structure. We're going to need to have some sort of a law enforcement mechanism so that everyone follows the laws, so that we can all work together to have some sort of structure and order to our society. That would happen because people are natural. People like structure. People naturally will organize. So even if all of us, you could just wave a magic wand and take government completely away, very soon there would be government again, whether you like it or not, because it is necessary. Society cannot function without it. Alex Whiteley, I think, was as perplexed by Dave's comments about arming the DHS workers as I was. Alex said, carrying arms is a perfect deterrent to stop people from making you feel uncomfortable. That is by far the most ridiculous, one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard on this show. This guy is tapped. Tapped. That must be something you say in the UK. Yeah, he surprised me with that. That kind of came out of nowhere. I was, as you probably noticed, I didn't quite know what to do with that when he said it. Rocky Huber said, if these women were educated on our rights, on freedom of press, maybe they wouldn't be so offended. I can't tell if you're kidding or not, Rocky, with that comment. I really can't. You probably are, because I know for a fact that you're someone who stands up for women, and you feel about women being intimidated the same way that I do. I know that for a fact, which is one of the things that we all appreciate about you. And I'm referring specifically to something that I didn't witness, but a story that Jenny told me about, where you stepped up. So I know you don't tolerate that either. Alex Whiteley says, quote, that's not a very American way of thinking, unquote. You have no idea how cringy that sounds from the outside looking in. That's a stone's throw away from America. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, we are absolutely out of time. All right, we have to go. If you miss any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. Oh, Affirmation Street in the chat room says, we say your show is great. Thank you, Affirmation Street. Your name is quite apt. I appreciate the affirmation. I feel like I'm driving down Affirmation Street right now. See what I did there? That's why I'm in afternoon drive. Yes. Oh, Affirmation Street says, we will be watching you tomorrow afternoon. Well, thank you. All right. Very good. Very affirming. I think I'm going to close the show again with this Mary Catman track, Fever Shakes, since everyone liked it so much. But remember, tomorrow on the program, we have guests joining us via Skype, members of the band Infinity Vein. Really looking forward to talking with them. That will be in the second hour of tomorrow's program. And thank you again to our friend Billy Painter from Outlaw Radio for facilitating that. That'll be really cool. And that's going to do it for us for now. Don't forget the morning show tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 a.m. right here on WMNH with the replay from 2 to 4 right before this show. And then I will be back tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. And that's it. I'm out. I'll talk to you all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.